I'm slowly but surely getting into the Witcher stuff. I even own the game now, and I'm trying to get into the Netflix show. The main character, Geralt of Rivia, is very powerful, but he also isn't normal. He has a lot of aspects about himself. The fact he's a superhuman mutant, and he slays monsters for bread, so he's different than normal human just in general off the lore by itself without even showing feats. He has different type of swords or even long-range weapons for different occasions, like a normal sword or just a metal sword or silver sword. You could tell but he ain't normal just by looking at his eyes. The blade is razor sharp and can cut through a lot of different things. Like in this animation, I can cut through plate armor. There's a difference between animation and actual game mechanics. This is actually showing what the writers want him to be able to do with these swords. Even in top 10 armors, he seems to be able to appear. Thanks to the razor sharpness of his darn blades or swords in general. That's just how it is. He has potions that he can drink to help him heal. He has acidic potions. Since he's a witcher, he can drink a lot more potions than the average human as well. And the potions are part of the lore because they are shown in cutscenes. The potions are not just a game mechanic. He has potions to increase his resistance to toxins and all that good stuff. He has potions to increase his regenerative capabilities. The guy has potions to make him actually literally punch harder. He has a potion pretty much for every situation in the actual lore, not just game mechanics wise. Without no feats being shown, it's already proven that he has superhuman capability. He has sword combat. On top of the fact he can use crossbows along with his sword combat, he literally has blast power, like using magic signs or like blasting with fire. He can do like some Jedi mind trick type stuff to let him pass certain areas. Some witches can even use these abilities to make them shoot each other. He can literally fire a telekinetic blast, like on some get back type stuff. Like he's shown doing it here, even in cutscene type stuff. Blast him that far back. Clears all this rubble, boom, disarm you with the blast power, can literally knock a werewolf off his feet with his telekinetic blast, can knock him in the air onto his back with his blast. He can make barriers to protect himself like using Quinn. A lot of different defenses or assets about himself. Like in this cutscene, shield himself from this thrown carriage. Boom, protects himself from 2 fireballs with this little protection in another cutscene. Everybody else being hurt around him, but him and the being he's protecting. He has magical traps where if you get near it, it can slow down things, even if they're really big. It's literally burning these beings with fire blast. 3 large cats get instantly killed with his fire blast power. He can use it to burn folk in the head, even beings that are physically bigger than him, like in this occasion. Physically, he ain't normal by any stretch of the imagination. This dude boxed up a bear one-on-one with his bare hands. He has no weapons equipped in the cutscene. Literally boxing up a freaking bear, y'all. Make it make sense. And look at the size difference of this bear at that, showing that he ain't normal at all. He ain't normal physically, hitting combos on a bear. Night to the bear. Is the confirmation there that bear's name was Olaf. It was a fair fight. Bears are ridiculously strong. They can hit over 1,000 pounds per square inch. Rock troll, bare fisted. Dude pieced it up. Combos and everything. And you can see it knocked out on the cutscene. He did it in fair combat. Can we just respect the fact he's fighting beings that have this bulky behind the armor on? He can clash with them in like contests of strength, even when they got the leverage higher ground, basically. By moving his maze, countering, and etc. Physically overpowered him by going upward instead. He's fought dragons and he pulled their head back like this, showing his physicals like that. And they just flip over like that, fighting a dragon, and gets impaled. Can destroy your elbow with a single strike, beats a dwarf in an arm wrestling contest. It's like a little cute little mini game. And get down. I'm too strong. I already showed a piece of this earlier with the blast power, but he did cut the large cat in half with one sword swing. He can lift up large maces like this, like they ain't big. You're like, this junk like it's at least 50 pounds. Look how solid it looks. In the boss battle, one-headed sword swing, your head is gone. Large beings like this get murked. He did hit this guard so hard to the floor, he just, look at them. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We already know he's physically strong based on all this stuff. But how hard can he actually strike, punch, or swing his doggone sword? We gotta remember that he can fight against dragons, whether it be his sword swings or just straight blast power in general. Dragons are usually way bigger than him as well. That's something you gotta consider. The being we're talking about has a human form and a dragon form, and the Witcher can fight this same being and match him in power and etc. This dragon can do all of this to towers, bro, when it comes to destructive capability. Just to give you an idea of the scope of this level of power this dragon can produce, that the Witcher fought physically, placed with all of this stone and concrete-like stuff, but this same being he's fighting on par against busted through this thick stuff, and his attacks actually affect this being. Even though it is piercing for us, it's still something that you got to pay attention to. This is a better angle of how strong this being is. This being did all of this to the surrounding building, and you can kind of see how thick this is. Shouldn't be no easy feat, and it just breaks through it casually while fighting Geralt of Rivia. It even does something crazy again and breaks more parts of it. Like, look at all of that area he just destroyed just with ease. No, it's not just game mechanics because it can hurt it during the cutscene little portion of the scene. This implies that Geralt has the physical strength to level a building if he wanted to, based on his performance with this being. I mean, think about it for a second. Geralt is the same being that's physically strong enough to pull its head back, and you know the dragon's resisting it, but it can't overpower Geralt from using his actual muscles to pull it back like that, like I showed earlier in the vid. This kind of shows how strong Geralt would have to be to do this. I mean, just from size scaling on how big this thing is, it's got to be as strong as it is big at the very least. But this still didn't stop Geralt from overpowering it physically. This being can casually destroy walls, gigantic walls, by pushing them like that. Like, it's just casual work, and Geralt overpowered this thing physically by the neck, and that's not it. He got in this fight with this huge thing with strong behind tentacles. Not only does he fight against beings that are building size, tentacles have to be strong enough to level buildings based on their sheer size and be able to support their own weight just from common sense. Strong enough to knock down the side of a pillar during the boss battle with the Witcher, of course. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Look at all the destructive capability. Can easily level buildings. Putting all his attributes at play, I'd say something as thick as this, he would have the blast power or cutting power to cut through something that's supporting all of this weight if he had to, which would probably take hundreds of tons of force to even do. I'd say he can blast with over hundreds of tons of blunt force. I'd say that's fair based on all the stuff we've seen him do so far, wouldn't you? He has means of getting 3 times stronger, even though he's already strong enough with blast power to cut through a building or blast a building down if he wanted to, based on all the dragon feats and stuff or the people he fights. It would be nice to be able to increase your attack power 3 times. So if he can at least blast with 100 tons of force at the bare bones minimum, that's a ×3 attack power multiplier basically on top of this, meaning he could probably blast with 300 tons of force at the very least. When it comes to blunt force, he can withstand assaults from these big dragon creatures that he fights that can level buildings, so his durability should be around the same when it comes to enduring this level of force. He's pretty freaking fast. He's fast enough to deflect crossbow bolts. People can't believe they've seen that the blade swings so fast. Supposedly can cut down 20 men in the blink of an eye. Might be a little exaggeration, but yeah, he's pretty quick. In this scene, they talk about how they never saw his sword. He moves so fast. He can swipe faster than the eyes can register. Monsters with superhuman strength and speed, he can look at them, analyze them, and as they attack them, he can just evade them like that. Not getting hit and just evading on defense the whole time. Here, parrying them like that. You get some visual right intent on how he would look in real time or cinematic time or some degree. Combos on him and everything. Kind of showing his strength on top of it. Still evading. Piecing him up while evading. Showing his unnatural physicals. It's that simple. Skilled with other things other than just swords, by the way. He's fast enough to deflect a throwing knife with his sword. He can evade a being's attack that literally be teleporting in the middle of combat. More proof of casually deflecting arrows. Just like that, showing his fighting speed. Succubuses don't try to swing at Geralt. He dodges large cats and kills it real quick. Look how they draw the blur effect on panel. You see what I mean? How they were spinning around so quick. Look at agility on how he ducks underneath these beings. Stab. Witchers have abnormal pain resistance because of the mutation. His body can withstand a lot. Look at the long fall. He didn't do no roll technique, just landed straight on his feet and he was good. He ain't faster than the speed of light or nothing like that, but they do imply serious blur throughout his career, whatever blur means. One can argue that he can react to lightning type stuff. He fights air elementals that can actually blast with lightning or storms of that such, if that makes any sense. In the gameplay, he can move away from lightning attacks with movement mechanics still, even though this is gameplay. I wouldn't freaking doubt it. The guy is a mutant. Beings that can use natural lightning in combat or something of that such. More implications of this is how he's able to parry lightning style attacks with his freaking just pure reaction speed. I think that's pretty freaking fast. Even while close up like that, he can parry it. If we're to take this seriously, that would mean his reaction time or fighting speed would be in the 200,000 miles per hour range. That means if Electro was to encounter Geralt and shoot lightning at him, he wouldn't be completely defenseless. He could use a barrier or he could use like his reflexes and block it with one of his swords or something. He's on some Ultra Instinct stuff like dodging a creature's attack while he's literally asleep. Instincts. I mean, Geralt is nearly 100 years old, so you gotta remember that experience. I would say he's better than your average Witcher because he even took out 2 Witchers at once. That's respectable. Well, he is the main character, right? So he has to be better than the average Witcher, right? Or he wouldn't be nothing special. Took on other Witchers like Letho in a fair fight. Wasn't exaggerating when I said this. Showing his competence with other people like him. Gotta respect it. Close battle. slice you up. He's been stated to be the greatest swordsman in the North. Nobody tries to debunk it, which is like using swords, but they can use pretty much any weapon, or like battle axes, picks, slingshots, and etc. Doesn't really matter. Even archery is not out of the question. He took on the higher vampire. Like, yeah, a lot of these people be looking like normal humans in this universe, I know, but then they just be shifting and crap goes sideways real quick. He can take out soldiers with blast power if he wants to, or just mix it up and physically take him out with knives if he has to, like that. In this cinematic, you can kind of get an idea of how he would look. He kind of moves superhumanly, visually speaking. My teammates like Yennefer believe he can take on dragons, which we've seen him do as well, so that's not an exaggeration. He kills 5 of these beings in 18 seconds. When he was shipwrecked, he was unarmed and literally takes on all these men by himself, literally tied up. That's something you gotta respect. He forever fighting a whole bunch of beings just barehanded for the most part with his strength and skill. I respect how he uses abilities in creative ways, like making his tail on fire in this occasion just to make them act crazy so he can get an opening or something like that. Very skilled with a blade. I would not want to be in the sword blade duel with this guy. Notice how he just cut through that guy. Slab out of his body, like just all that bone he just cutting through. And if all goes south when it comes to his reflexes not being fast enough, he has stuff that can magnify his reflexes tenfold. Bruh, increasing his reflexes tenfold would be crazy. He has means to do so. But you gotta respect Geralt, man. He's superhuman in a lot of different ways. Physically, he's superhuman. I would say his blast power is above his physicals, though. I would say he probably could blast a building apart or blast something apart that's holding a building together or holding the weight of the building of it. He has a different assortment of weapon skill with a different assortment of weapons. He have a lot of battle experience. He's able to react to lightning via boss battles and stuff, natural lightning, not to mention on top of it, reflexes being this crazy, he can increase it by tenfold. It's just a lot of different things Geralt is a threat for, but I will see you guys later. Respect them. Appreciate the love, everybody that has donated to the channel. It helps out a lot and it helps me being motivated to keep content to you all.